Okay, need to close your books. Put your name at the top. And you can also write on there day 3 quiz. Okay, number 1, who has the right of way at a 4-way stop? Okay. 2, who has the right of way if 2 cars get to the 4-way stop at the same time? Everybody done? All right, 3, what is intersection gridlock? Intersection gridlock. Anyone need more time on that one? All right. Number 4, give me 3 ways to identify a one-way street. 3 ways you can identify a one-way street. Good to go? All right. Letter 5. Who has the right of way on an uncontrolled T? You guys remember what an uncontrolled T is? So who has the right of way? Give me a description, yeah, that's fine. We're looking more for the, on that question, we're looking more for the idea of it, which one has right of way, not so much the technical name for it. Okay, 6, why should you why should you keep your wheels straight while waiting to make a left turn? So you're going to make a left turn, why would you want your wheels straight? Even though you're planning to turn. Everybody good? Let's see. Number 7, when can you make a left turn on a red light? One time you can make a left turn onto a red light. Why? Everybody had enough time on that one? Okay. 8, what is defensive driving? We talk a lot in class and out on your behind the wheels about defensive driving. What do we mean by that? All right, letter 9. What's the speed limit in an alley? And 10, what is the speed limit on an urban or town road? Eleven, fleeing an officer is a what? Here we are asking for more of the technical term, not just writing it's a bad idea. Yeah, what fleeing an officer is a what? It is a bad idea. What if you get caught? What are you gonna get? These are all ones you guys have read about, right? All right, 12. How many inches should you be between you and the steering wheel with an airbag? So you're driving a car has a steering wheel airbag. How far from the steering wheel should you be? Uh, 13. The manual says it's possible to be killed in a crash when traveling at a speed as low as what? 14, last but not least, how far ahead do you have to see in order to pass another car? Okay, let's go ahead and exchange papers with the person sitting next to you. If you're by yourself, find somebody else that's by themselves and exchange. I don't think she's exchanged it. All right, at the bottom of the page, write your name, the person who's correcting the paper. Write your name so we know who corrected it. Okay, so Megan, who has the right of way at a four-way stop?
The first person with the signs.
First person that gets to the signs, correct. If you have one that's wrong, just check the one that's wrong, and we'll add them up after that, okay? 2, we'll go to Jacob. Who has the right of way if two cars get to the four-way stop at the same time?
The car on the right.
Yep. Car.
So I was thinking like, what if they were across from each other? And then like, they get there at the same time, and one is like turning left and one is turning right. And I said, the car's turning right.
The reality, you get into situations where you just kind of visually communicate with the driver ahead of you, you know, are you gonna go or am I gonna go, and so you gotta, if you think it's you, go ahead and start inching out, and if they go, then you know you gotta stop, but, you know, you obviously wanna avoid an accident, so, but some of that stuff just comes with, time behind the wheel and, practice, so.
But could that be turning right? I mean, like if two cars are coming to a four-way, and then, if they're across from each other, and the one that's turning to the right and not the one that's turning to the left.
Yeah, cause you'd be coming into the same,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're just gonna, there's not really a car on the right when they're across from each other.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about, you just have to kind of use your best judgment. Certainly pull out slow enough so that you can stop if they go, but that's just the way that it works in the real world. You know. That answer that?
I was asking if the question was, like, the answer that I gave was right. Like, if you counted.
Well, how did you answer it?
Like, the car that's turning right, like, if they're across from me, and it's turning to the side.
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily the car that's turning right, it's the car on the right. Yeah. So, you had it set up kind of different than what they were asking. I'll take a look at it and see. Let's see here. 3, what is intersection gridlock, Kenyon?
It's when there's a less of an intersection and cars are stopped or crashed due to some mistake.
Anybody else have anything different? Want to make sure that we're not in the intersection at all if a light turns red. A lot of times what happens is drivers anticipating being able to go through, they work their way out so they're in the middle of the intersection when it turns yellow so that they can still make the turn. Everybody's seen that, right? Well, that's intersection gridlock. If cars are moving slow, you've got to wait back at the correct stopping position and wait until that car is through the intersection, then you go, okay? Alright, give me 3 ways to identify a one-way street, Adam.
The car on the same side of the park, there's a sign, and all the signs are facing the same way.
Perfect, perfect. Good job. 5, who has the right of way on an uncontrolled T? We'll go to Maddie.
This one? No.
With, ends with a T.
Oh, okay. It's the person that's going like on the top part of it.
Yep. The cross, you could put down the cross or the top of the T, I would accept that, so, okay. 6, why should you keep your wheel straight while waiting to make a left turn? Why would you want to keep your wheel straight when you're waiting to make a left turn? Chase?
So if you get bumped, you won't go into oncoming traffic.
Yep, exactly. So what they're saying is your wheels are facing straight. If somebody comes behind you and hits you, they push you forward, as opposed if your wheels were waiting to make the turn, they hit you and you get pushed out into traffic. So just a safety measure on that. 7, when can you make a left turn on a red light? Aaron?
You are going from a one-way street into another one-way street.
Yeah, that's the only time, going from a one-way street to another one-way street. Alright. Number 8, what is defensive driving? And let's go to Jason.
Driving and watching out for people around you.
Okay, perfect. We talk a lot about in class and out when you're doing your behind the wheels about defensive driving. You really need to be aware of not only you in terms of other people, but other people for yourself. You know, not all drivers are perfect drivers and they'll make mistakes. The best thing to do is to be able to know where you're at, and we'll talk some today about escape routes. It'll kind of help you formulate that picture. 9, what is the speed limit in an alleyway? Let's go the other Maddie.
10 miles per hour.
10 miles per hour, perfect. Do we stop when we get to the end of the, do we treat it like an uncontrolled T and just go, slow down, look, then go, or do we actually stop when we come to the end? Yep. Want to make sure we're stopping when we come to the end of the alleyway. 10, what is the speed limit in urban or town roads? And let's go to, see what I haven't picked on yet. Did I pick on Jake? Jacob? Yeah.
30 miles per hour.
Yep, perfect, 30 miles per hour. Fleeing an officer is what? Anyone? Felony. How many inches should be between you and the steering wheel with an airbag?
I have a question. For where it says felony, can you just say like crime?
No, they're actually looking for the felony, because some crimes are not felonies, you know, some crimes are just misdemeanors or worse than felony. So they're actually looking for the word felony. How many inches should be between you and the steering wheel with an airbag? And let's go, did I do Megan yet? Did I do Alicia?
Is it 10?
Huh?
10?
You must be Alicia.
Yeah.
And if you didn't hear that, it's 10 inches. It is possible to be killed in a crash when traveling at speeds as low as what? And we'll go Jenna. 15. What does the manual say? 12. we're gonna go with the manual and it's 12. And last but not least, how far ahead do you have to see in order to pass another vehicle? How far ahead? And let's do Brock.
1,000 feet.
1,000 feet, does that sound right, guys? Are you sure?
Is it 100?
No,
500,
no,
300?
no.
100.
700.
Oh, somebody said that.
Yeah.
Who said
Yeah,
700?
somebody said that.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. That wasn't the first try, was it? Sorry about that. It's 700 feet. So if you want to pass after you've had a chance to look them over, argue any points that may or may not be right or wrong. You can plead your case. I'll go easy on the sentencing. Alright, let's see what we're gonna do next. Are you ready to go, woo? Come on, let me hear it. Woohoo! Oh. Can you give me a
There you go.
Alright.
I think that's as close as we can.
Yeah, you guys are up. Okay, let's talk about escape routes. When in that quiz we had talked a little bit about escape routes. This is you. You're driving along. Something up here happens. Someone's wheel comes off their car and they start sliding and turning circles. So they're moving kind of all over the place. What do they mean by escape routes? Yeah. Yeah. They're talking about all four sides of the vehicle. The top, the back, I should say the front, back, and the sides. Now, if you're in the outside lane, let's say this is a double lane going one direction, for example, and you're in this lane, and stuff is happening over here, can you still escape that way to the right? Possibly, not always. Kind of depends on what's on the right. And that's part of the reasons that a lot of the roads that you're going to be on have shoulders. Is for you to be able to not only get off to change a tire or for some other emergencies, but it also gives you a place to go in case of an emergency if you have to go that direction. So part of the need to use these, of course, is distracted driving. That's going to be probably the case on most accidents, is going to be distracted driving. People are just not paying attention, or our phones and everything have gotten so complicated and so advanced that you really got a handheld computer with you at all times, and it's just addicting, especially for younger people, to constantly be checking in on their friends and that type of thing. So if somebody's doing that up here and they're not paying attention and they hit a car here, and, you know, quickly, what would be a escape route there? Possibly you could go to the right, you had enough shoulder there, right? Or you could go to the left. What's the danger going this way? Yep, if there's oncoming traffic, this was just a two-way street. If you go this way and there's oncoming traffic. So what you wanna really be aware of is, situations where if you have to escape, you want to be aware of where you're planning to go. And so when you're driving, you're in that defensive driving mode, you're constantly thinking, okay, well, something happens ahead of me, you know, do I got room to go? And a lot of times, I'll give you an example of this, a lot of times when I'm passing a semi on a double road where there's another lane there, but it's only 2 lanes, a lot of times the semi drivers are kind of drifting back and forth because they got big rigs and sometimes it's windy or whatever, it's just a big vehicle to keep going. I don't like to hang out in that side, even though I'm up where he can see me in the mirrors or he can see me through his door, that I'm not even in his blind spot. I don't like to be there. I'm either going to slow down or speed up to get past him, because that's a situation where, you know, he's really limiting me to my escape routes. If he decides to come over, and a lot of times on the highway, you know, if you're in the lane on the left, you know, there's not very much of a ditch, and then they put those guardrails and fences up. So I like to get ahead of him, or I'll, you know, in some cases I slow down and get behind him, because I don't want to be, you know, stuck without a way of escaping if something happens. And it could just be something as simple as him blowing a tire, you know. So, how about back? When would you use the back side of the car as an escape route? How would that, what kind of situation do you think you'd be in? Any ideas? Well, how about if you're parked someplace, waiting to turn from a parking lot, you're at Target, you're coming out of the parking lot, you're waiting to turn. Well, the guy's turning into the parking lot, he's not paying attention, he's reading a text, and he's coming straight for you. Could you pop in reverse and go back? Yeah, that's an escape route. What kind of dangers with that? What things could happen, or potential dangers could be doing that?
Somebody's coming up behind you.
Yep, yeah, so. Well, there again too, it's nice to, you know, check in your mirrors, you know, all that type of thing, to kind of have a good idea of who's behind you. Most cases, if they're behind you close enough that you would hit them, then you probably see them in your rear mirror, so. That's another reason in the winter we want to make sure that we clean all of our windows off all the way, because you're really limiting yourself. You just hit the front windshield so you can drive, and then you kind of give your side a little bit of a scrape, so you got a spot that big to look out of, and same on that side. Well, you're blocking a large area that you can see through, right? And so that's part of the reason that we do that. So, any questions? Sure. Quiet class, aren't you? I might have to sign speeches. No? We like speeches? All right. Let's see here. Let's talk about, did you guys talk about in your last reading about when it is okay to pass or to exceed this posted speed limit? You guys remember reading about that at all? Anybody tell me when can you exceed the posted speed limit? Okay. What's the caveat to that? What has to be in place? 55 miles an hour or more. You can go up to 10 miles an hour faster to pass, but how, do you still have to follow the rules as far as being able to see how many feet? 700 ahead of you before you can pass. So the coast is clear, but they will allow you to speed up for that. Let's give you guys a worksheet. Actually, we're gonna do, let's do worksheet 3. Everyone in here excited about getting your license? It's gonna be the first thing you do when you actually get your license. Drive yourselves to the mall. Nothing? All right, this quiz, or worksheet 3. You can use your manuals and your notes, do your own homework, or you do your own work. And if you finish before somebody else, you can do some